Welcome to this week's story. And as you can see, we're in a busy market and town again. Now, do you remember something about last week? Jesus was in another busy marketplace and he chose someone really interesting, or two somebodies, in fact, to have a chat to. Can you think who it was? That's right. It was the children. He chose to talk to children. He thought they were special. Well, this week, he chooses somebody who's really unpopular, even more unpopular than children. Can you believe it? Well, this is a week where we want you to help us tell the story. So at 2 points, we're going to hold up a sign and you can join in with some cheering. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Yay!
Yay! Yay! Ooh, wonderful.
Very good. Super cheering. But you know, often when people cheer, they also can get a bit moany-groany quite quickly. So you'll have one opportunity, some moaning and groaning. Are you ready? Here we go. Well, that sounded good and miserable to me. So watch out for those in the story. And I'm now going to hand over to Susan, who's going to open for us.
Do you know what taxes are? Taxes are money grown-ups have to give to the government to pay for things like roads and hospitals and schools. It was the same in the time of Jesus, except the people who collected the money, the tax collectors, always took a little bit extra for themselves. Imagine if you went to pay your taxes and the tax collector said, that's £2.50 for your taxes, and then another 50p extra to pay for my big car. Nobody would like it at all. Today we have a story about a taxman who nobody liked, but he made a surprising choice which changed his life forever. Let's open the book and read Jesus and the taxman.
Jesus is coming!
Somebody shouted.
Coming to Jericho!
And everybody ran to meet him.
Yeah.
Well, almost everybody. For there was a man, one wee little man, who did not run to meet Jesus, and his name was Zacchaeus. It's not that Zacchaeus didn't want to see Jesus. He did. He really did. But not only was Zacchaeus short, he was also afraid of the crowd. Not many people liked him, you see, partly because he was a tax collector, but mostly because he collected more taxes than he was supposed to and kept what was left to himself.
Jesus is here.
Somebody shouted.
Jesus is here in Jericho.
And everybody cheered as he walked through the city gates.
Yay! 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 Ooh.
Well, almost everybody, for Zacchaeus did not feel like cheering at all. He wanted to see Jesus, he really did. But how could he walk out there in front of all those people he cheated? And what about what they'd do if they got hold of him? Then Zacchaeus had an idea. There were trees by the city gates, tall, leafy trees. If he could sneak behind the crowd and climb one of those trees, he could see Jesus and not be seen himself. So off he went. Out of his house and through the empty streets. Because the crowd was watching Jesus, he had no trouble at all, slipping behind them and climbing up a tree.
Jesus, come and eat at my house.
Somebody shouted.
Come and eat at my house. Jesus.
And because it was a great honor to host someone as important as Jesus, everybody shouted at once, Well, almost everybody. For there was one wee man, who kept his mouth shut and tried hard not to rustle the branches.
Thank you very much,
said Jesus.
You are very kind. But I have already decided where I will eat my dinner.
Then Jesus looked straight at the trees and called,
Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus, come down. I'm eating at your house today.
Zacchaeus?
Yes.
somebody shouted.
Jesus is eating with Zacchaeus. He's the worst man in town. There must be some mistake.
And everybody moaned and groaned.
Oh.
That's no.
Well, almost everybody. One wee little man climbed down from the tree, as shocked as the rest. Why would someone as good as Jesus want to eat with someone bad like him? But he was happy too, happier than he'd been for a long, long time. And so, with a smile spreading across his face, Zacchaeus led Jesus to his house.
What are they saying?
Somebody whispered,
What are they doing in there?
and everybody gathered around the taxman's door. That's when Zacchaeus threw open the door with a bang.
Greetings, everyone.
He shouted,
I have an announcement to make. I've been talking with my new friend Jesus and realised that there are a few things I need to change. I've cheated some of you, I admit that. And I want you to know that I'm sorry, so sorry. In fact, that I will pay you back 4 times more than I stole from you. What's more, I intend to sell half of what I own and give the money to the poor.
The crowd was shocked. Never in their whole lives had they seen anyone change like that. They stood there with their mouths wide open, and nobody said a thing. Well, almost nobody,
Don't you see?
said Jesus to the crowd.
God has sent me to share his love with everybody, even those who have done some very bad things. That's what I have done. And now Zacchaeus loves God too.
That's when the crowd began to cheer Jesus and Zacchaeus and the whole town of Jericho. Everybody.
Yes, yes.
As soon as Zacchaeus realised that God loved him, even though he had done wrong things, he knew he had to change the way he lived and put things right for his neighbours. Close your eyes and think about whether there are things you do that hurt others. Can you be like Zacchaeus and change the way you live? Now I'm going to say a prayer. And if you want to make it your prayer, say amen at the end. Dear God, if there is anything in our lives that need to change, please help us so we choose what is good, choose what is right, and choose what is true. Amen.
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 Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's story. Now, have a think about those things that you might need to change. They might be something quite small, might be something quite big. I don't know. But why don't you have a go this week at giving them a change? Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.